Hi, my name is Katrina Peluso and I'm going to show you how to make meatballs today with raisins. This is my meatball recipe and I would like to share it with you. And I know some people say raisins and meatballs, ooh. Sometimes I like a salty, cheesy meatball. And other times I like the sweet. And the raisins is a good marinade when it's inside the meatballs. Plus we use it in brajol with pinoli nuts, and you roll the meat with the raisins inside. That marinates the inside of the meat. Some people make their turkey stuffing with raisins. That brings a sweetness to the meat. I prefer chunky applesauce, but any kind of fruit will marinate meat. And the sugar also helps preserve it. So what we're going to do is I'm taking about a pound of chopped meat, and I like to cook clean, which means that I don't throw all the dirty dishes into the sink and then have to turn around and go, oh boy, I got to start cleaning. I clean as I go. However, I'm going to make this really, really fast for you. So what we start off with is you always mix your dry ingredients first, because then you get them really, really mixed up. And I do everything by eye, but I'll kind of give you, so I'll like with a pound of meat, oh, this is the plain stuff. I don't want that. Oh, but I'm going to mix my ingredients in. Let's see. Okay, that's what I got. So I'm gonna mix my seasoning in it, but you can use seasoned breadcrumbs if you want. So I'm gonna I know, because I've done this so many times, I know my pot. I guess that if you want a really bready meatball, to stretch it, if you have a lot of people and everybody keeps gavoning the meatballs and taking them out and you got nothing left, then you add more breadcrumbs. That's what the pizzerias and restaurants do. That's why it's a little more bready, their meatballs. If you've ever noticed, it's not really, really thick with meat. But that's about 2 cups. So then I do everything by eye. So I guess I would say of salt, full teaspoon, maybe half a tablespoon. So you get that. Then I don't like oregano too much, so I just sprinkle a little bit on top, because it's bitter, and if you smell it, it's bitter. Now I'm talking to people, if you're paisano, like I said in my sauce video, then you use all the best ingredients and you have the time and you're singing and you're drinking your wine. But if you're a regular guy that's just trying to make a Sunday thing, this is parsley. So about that much. So I guess a tablespoon. Boop. So don't be criticizing me. You can add a little basil leaf. That adds a little sweetness too. Just a little sprinkle. Did I add my black pepper? No, I didn't add my black pepper. Okay, so we'll add like a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. There you go, like about that much. If you have bigger hands, you gotta watch. Otherwise, you make it hot. I got my salt. Now they also have something, if you like chopped garlic, but if you're in a real rush, they have this new stuff now. It's chopped garlic, but it's dried. Now you know how sometimes you may not cook fast enough, or things happen, and then you buy stuff and the food goes bad. So this is good to keep in your cabinet in a pinch. But if I wanted to add the garlic, just a little bit. See, I have kids. I gotta watch about the strong taste, otherwise they won't even eat the meatballs. I also like to cheat. I love to add Parmesan cheese. About anywhere 1/2 cup for something like this. You might have to increase it, of course, with your meat. You get that. So what we want to do is we want to mix all our dry ingredients really, really good. So everything is well mixed for the meat, because the way I was taught is that you throw the meat on there, you throw the egg on there, you throw all the dry ingredients. Then you get like one spot full of dry ingredients. It's just disgusting. You want a nice, evenly mixed meatball. So this is good. So you mix your stuff. I don't put onions in it. Like I said, I have kids. I want them to eat the meat. Okay? But you could put onions in it. I have even gone so far as taking mushrooms. And once I rolled my meatballs, I've pushed a mushroom button into the inside of the meatball. That's when you don't make it with raisins. That's delicious. Okay, so now we have all the dry ingredients. Now what I did was I made sauce, and I took a 1/2 cup of my sauce. Instead of using water to get it moist, and I also used my secret ingredient, which is beef broth. That also marinates, and I'll use about a 1/2 cup of that. So you want to mix all your wet ingredients Really, really good. So we'll eat 1 egg for 1 pound. If I really want my kids to get an egg, because they don't eat eggs, I might put 2 just to put it in the old pan. And you mix it really good. You want it really mixed up. Now see, I have my sauce has chunky tomatoes in it. So, oh, I gotta pop this egg. So if you could see the chunks in that, the chunks will also be in the meatballs on the inside, not just on the outside. So you want to get a nice consistency here. Okay? Did I forget anything? Oh, my secret ingredient. The reason I'm doing this whole thing. My raisins. Okay. What you want to do is put that with the dry ingredients, because they can get sticky and you want to get them all coated. So I might use, let's see, maybe half a cup of raisins. Let's see if I can get them out of here for you. These are dull. These are like plump raisins, and the sugar is coming out of this. You can see the sugar crystals on these raisins. That also helps the sauce not be so acidy. I might even add more, but so you put that in there, and what you want to do is mix it up so they're not sticking together. You want them to be coated, so then you get like you get a raisin in pretty much every meatball. You don't want to have one meatball with all the raisins in it and the others not. Now I got this from my grandmother. She made the best meatballs on earth. But then my grandfather, when he got to be around 80 years old, he decided that he wanted raisins in his meatballs like his mother made. My grandmother didn't make them for 50 years, and all of a sudden he wants raisins. I guess he was going back to his childhood. I want a little more raisins in here. So she started mixing the raisins in like his mother did. And I thought they were disgusting because I was used to her old ones. But then after a while, you get really accustomed to the taste. And there's cheese and salt in there, so it's not as sweet as you would think, because a lot of the sugar goes into the meat, so it's not like you're eating a really sweet raisin when you bite into the meatball, just like with brajol, with the rolled meat. And my grandmother used to also make, from my grandfather's family, raviolis with cinnamon and sugar. And she could not stand that because she liked the cheesy ravioli, but they would die for that. And they would beg her to make these because she made them so good. And she made them for years before she even tried them. She couldn't even stand the thought of cinnamon and sugar in her raviolis. Okay. That I don't make. Okay, so now we have all our wet ingredients thoroughly mixed. We're going to mix this up, and now you're going to mix this really, really good. You don't want to have... You want to have it consistent and even before you put your meat in. Otherwise, you're going to have big spots of one ingredient in your meatballs, and that's going to be gross. Not gross, but not the best. You want to mash it down. Now, see all that red sauce? That red sauce is going to go into that meat, and it's going to marinate it with the raisins from the inside out. I want to make sure there's no dry spots, that everything is wet enough, or you might have to add a little bit more beef broth. The beef broth will also salt it up a little bit, help marinate it. See, so my gravy is really gravy, okay? So I don't care what anybody says. Alright, so now we got, okay, poof! We have mixed meatballs. See, this is how it should look, very consistent. Now, this is a good sized meatball, depending on how many people you have to feed. If you make them a little bit smaller, kind of like the store-bought ones, then you get more servings out of it because people feel like a real pig and rude if they keep taking 10 meatballs, so they'll take 5. But if you make them really big, they'll take 3 meatballs, and that's, you know, a quarter of your pot. So this is really, really rolled, so you can roll them into a nice consistent thing. And we're going to do 2 things. If you're in for real quick, you put them on a pan. I have a stone. If anyone's ever seen that from a Pampered Chef, and it looks kind of yucky, but that's because it's just like a pizza grill, just like a pizza oven. The more you cook on it, the more everything absorbs in it, and it's made from stone. Now this is a silicone mat.